Hey guys, welcome back. Don Shaver here with Iron City Physical Therapy, and here with me today is the new Rep FB 5000 flat bench with the wide pad. So this will be rep shot kind of at like the Thompson fat pad. So the idea behind this bench here, this pad is about 14 inches wide. Your standard competition bench is going to run around like 12 inches. Some of the older benches could be as narrow as 10 inches. And the real reason that that's going to be an issue is because we see so much shoulder pain with the bench press as a movement. And so the wide pad or the fat pad is kind of the industry's answer to that problem. With your standard bench, what you'll find is that bench will kind of cover part of the scapula, but it'll miss like the outer border there. So what you'll have is some support through your shoulder blades, and we know our shoulder blade is going to influence the whole position of the glenohumeral joint here. So people tend to get pain, sometimes they'll get pain at the AC joint, which is where your collarbone kind of meets that shoulder blade. So in between there, and a lot of people will also get pain in by the biceps tendon. So if that humeral head kind of gets jammed up into that tendon, and we see that more with those narrow benches. So that wide pad will give us a little bit more support here and take some pressure off the AC joint. It'll allow some movement through the scapula. As we know, when we're going into that bench press, we're really trying to set the scapula down and back and keep that stable position. The wide pad here is going to allow us to do that a lot better and maintain much better position as we go through the bench press. So while it's not completely necessary to bench on one of these, especially when you're younger, the advantage of this bench press is you may be able to continue to bench press longer without incurring some of those shoulder injuries. So if you're benching and you're in your 20s, that might not be an issue. But let's say you get in your 50s and your 60s and you're starting to say, hey, like this benching doesn't really feel good for me anymore. You may want to consider using something like a wide pad or a fat pad, and that's why we've got that here in the PT clinic, so that the patients we're working with on lifting are able to try that out and maybe see if that's something that alleviates some of that shoulder pain. And in many cases, it does. You can see we do have other benches, a little bit more narrow, still a good bench, but overall I really like that wide pad to help us to achieve a better bench and without pain. That being said, based off the IPF standards, this pad is going to be a little too wide. Normally that's that 12-inch pad. So if you're a competitive power lifter and you want to practice the way that you're going to compete, well, maybe this isn't the answer for you, or maybe this is part of your training. But for most of us that aren't involved in any meets and it doesn't really matter, and we're just trying to put on some muscle, or we're trying to be better at being an athlete in our sport, the fat pad could be a good option. The other part that I really like about this rep option is the height. So this is only 17 inches off the floor, which would fit in that IPF standard. You'll find a lot of other benches are 18, some are even 19, 20 inches off the ground, which is just it's just too high, especially for someone like me. I'm only about 5'8". Maybe if you're super tall, that isn't an issue. But with this bench here, especially with that single post, I can get my feet flat down on the ground. So if I'm setting up for a press, I'm able to get that leg drive and give myself some support that I need. Whereas on an older or a higher bench, I might have to have my toes on the ground, and then I'm missing out on that leg drive. So really like this option, really happy with it. There's other versions out there. You can find the Rogue option with the Thompson fat pad. That's a little bit more expensive, but this one is nice. It falls in under $200 from Rep Fitness, and shipping was pretty quick and easy. So if you guys have any questions on using the wide pad,